In the Bernie segment tonight, as we reported last night, the far left has attacked Dr. Ben Carson for saying that he would have attacked any gunman trying to kill him. Very dishonestly, the press says that insinuates Carson was being disrespectful to those murdered in the Roseburg massacre. Joining us now from North Carolina, purveyor of BernardGoldberg.com, Mr. Goldberg. And what say you about this, Bernie?
Well, Bill, as you know, and I want to get this on the record early on, I'm not a fan of Dr. Carson as a presidential candidate. Outside of that, he seems to be a very nice guy and certainly a talented doctor, but he has said too many outrageous things for me to think he'd be a good president. The United States, for instance, is not like Nazi Germany. But in this case, this is a hit job on the doctor. He was asked a specific question: what would he do if he were in that situation? And he answered what he would do. When I heard this, it didn't even occur to me that he was second-guessing the victims. But this is what happens, Bill. This is what happens when you're a conservative Republican with good poll numbers. The other side has to bring you down, and unfortunately, in this case, the other side is made up of more than a few people who at least dabble in journalism.
Well, NBC picked it up, and the NBC reporter asked, are you insinuating the victims are responsible? They did, and I said this the other night. I don't want to belabor it. They did the exact same thing to me a few years ago when we were covering a murder case on the west side of Manhattan, and there was a young woman, 4:30 in the morning, by herself, and I said during the discussion, that's not a good place to be at 4:30 in the morning. Oh, you're blaming the victim, and you're absolutely right. This is a organized campaign,
exactly,
to smear people with whom these far left idiots disagree.
Right.
That's it. No more.
Yeah.
Now, what about naming the shooter in the massacre? I did it on the breaking news night. On the breaking news night, because there was a lot of misinformation floating around, I said, here he is, here's how old he is, this is the shooter. But then from then on, I wouldn't mention his name.
Okay. I wrote a column about this on my website. I hope people will go read it because there are nuances in the column. Look, I understand those who won't mention his name. I understand that they don't want to give him what he wants. I'm even, part of me is even sympathetic to that. But the same people who won't mention the killer's name, for whatever reason, they don't want to give him what he wants, they're afraid of copycat killers, they are on news channels or news networks that run the mayhem, the agony that he caused, the hurt that he caused, over and over, hour after hour after hour. Not 2 hours, not 3 hours, not 5 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours. So I'm wondering, Bill, which causes more harm? Simply naming the killer or showing what he did on an endless loop? And I contend, although I have no evidence of this, but it's my belief that showing the dirty work that he did is more harmful than simply naming him. Now, for the record, I have named him. As a hard news journalist, I would name him. I would tell the audience as much as I could about him. If the sheriff doesn't want to name him, that's one thing. Journalists should name him. In your case, I'm glad you mentioned it on the breaking news.
Yeah, on the breaking news you have to, but then I'm not going to do it subsequently. But I will say, here's his mother, and his mother had guns, and here's his background. But I don't have to mention his name because the more we
know, the better.
Yeah. Obviously, you want to know the motive for these terrible things.
Do we have any time? Do we have any time for a second quick point?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's assume that this killer wasn't this guy, but his name was Abdul Mohammed Ahmed. Everybody would be mentioning his name.
But that's a terror component.
Hold on. Yes, that's what I was about to say. They would justify it. I put that word in quotation marks. They would justify it by saying, wait a second, he's a terrorist. He's not a run-of-the-mill mass killer. But you know what? If Mr. Ahmed Mohammed, or whatever his name would be, asked the people, the victims, the innocent victims, by the way, what's your religion, and then kill them, that would be an automatic reason to run his
Yeah,
name.
we're
Yet
not
that's what
sure
this
that
guy-
happened
that's
yet.
what
We're still trying to nail that down, that component down.
There are two theories on it happened, but there are two theories on what he meant. One theory is he was targeting Christians. The other theory, in his warped mind, he was saying to the people, if you're a Christian, if you believe in God, don't worry, it'll be okay. Boom, and then he kills him. In his warped mind, I'm not justifying
we need
that.
clarity before we can carry that
But
forward.
if a Muslim terrorist had asked the religion, for whatever reason, everybody who's not mentioning his name would mention his name.
But it's a different story if it's terrorism, and it's a different story if it's racism, as in Charleston. And then you have to get into the fabric of, is this organized? Was there somebody helping? Last thing. Can you believe we're 19 years old on this network, Bernie? 19.
You started, that means when you were, what, 2 or 3?
No, I was like 27.
Quite remarkable.
Yeah, 27 years old. But, 19 years old yesterday on the Fox News channel. I just think everybody who works there should be very proud of it.
Absolutely.
All right, Bernie Goldberg, everybody. Water's on.